Right, good evening, one and all. Excuse me. So, listen, apologies about the very late Friday Waffle. Just real life has gotten in the way, as it tends to do from time to time. I was, what was I doing on Friday? I was at a pub quiz. I was in the bowling club, took part in that. Got home for work, had to get changed quickly. Didn't have time to do anything on Friday night, and then Saturday I was out all day Saturday, hence the reason again I couldn't do the Friday Waffle until tonight. So it's 16:21, 18:21 even on Sunday night. Like I said, I hope you're all okay. Weather-wise, it's just absolutely crap. I mean, I don't know if it's just my imagination, but it really feels like the weather has been, it feels like it's been raining and it's been dark for a year. It really does. I can't remember the last time I actually saw the sun, and quite frankly, it's just so depressing. It really is. I hate this time of year. It never really bothered me that much, dark nights in the winter, but I don't know, just as I've gotten older, I find that my tolerance to shit weather has got less and less. I mean, 3-4 years ago, I would have thought nothing about just getting my shorts on, going out for a run. It's only weather. But now, I don't know. It's just awful. I think the fact I've got the 2 dogs as well, you take the dogs out, they come back, they're black, they walk dirt over everywhere. It's just bloody horrible. It really is. So, yeah, listen, apologies about the lack of any videos this week. I don't think I put out a single video this week, or last week I should say. Just I've touched on it before. There's a lot of shite going on at the moment. And yeah, it's wearing me down. I don't mind admitting that. It's wearing me down, and it's just it's making me have time for anything, that I want to do. It makes it very difficult. And as we all know, when you're trying to make YouTube videos, you've got to be in the right frame of mind. You've got to be up for it. And there's just shit going on at the moment. Nothing I can't handle, but it's been going on for a wee while, and it starts to really it starts to drain you. I mean, I've been coming in for work and having my dinner, and then I've just been kind of going, I wouldn't say I've been going straight to bed, but been falling asleep in the settee and just, have no energy to do anything. I've not been to the gym for probably best part of 2 months, probably maybe more than that actually. Not been out a run. I went out a run about 2 weeks ago, and I've not been out since, which is disappointing. So yeah, I'm okay. I'm absolutely okay. But what I've had to do is, if you follow me on Facebook, my actual personal Facebook page, I've had to kind of change a few details because there's just crap going on at the moment. But anyway, listen, you don't want to hear people tuning in to a retro channel doesn't want to hear about me whinging, so I do apologise about that. On a positive note, still really enjoying the Spectrum Next. It's been really nice to see people's reactions to the machine. I mean, I got one of the base models, which I've had now for a couple of weeks, and I know that I think the accelerated model that came out, I think the guys were getting theirs last week, I think it was. I've watched quite a few videos. It's been really nice to see all the positive feedback on Facebook. There's not been any negative feedback that I can see at all, other than people want to know how they can get a hold of one. It's quite amusing when you actually see some of the comments. I mean, I've had a couple of comments. I mean, one guy posted in my video saying, I've never seen something as pointless as this. I don't know whether he means my video or whether he means the Spectrum Next, but I just never ever understand why people would want to post negative stuff on a video. I've watched videos in the past and I'm like, I'm not enjoying this. It's not what I thought it was. But why would you leave a negative comment? I really don't get it. But no, I'm really enjoying it. What I have done is I've bought myself I bought myself a SCART cable, so it means I can connect it to my my Sony Bravia CRT, and I've got to say it looks lovely. I mean, there's just something about the old machines and scan lines. You really need to run them on a CRT. I got it from, is it Retro Computer Cables, I think it's called. It's a guy who goes by the name of Ian Priddy on eBay. Now, Ian makes probably the finest cables, SCART cables for any of the old devices. I mean, I've got one for my Atari 800. I've got one for my Atari ST. I've got a Commodore Amiga one. I've got an Atari. I've got a Commodore 64. I've got a Spectrum one. I think I've even got an Amstrad one. I've got a Mega Drive one. I've got a SNES one, and obviously I've got the Spectrum next. I mean, they're real, absolute pure quality. They're fantastic quality. So, if you're looking for a SCART cable for an old system, then go to eBay and just type in it's Retro Computer Cables, I think he's called. Ian Priddy, Priddy. You'll find him on YouTube, on what do you call it? You'll find him on eBay. Absolutely best SCART cables about button. Really, really good. But yeah, like I said, I've not had time to do very much. Not been playing a great deal. I was playing the Spectrum next for about an hour last week. In fact, you know what? I tell a lie. I have been. In fact, you might be able to see it. I'm going to let you see it actually. Now, you might have seen some of the joysticks I've shown you in the past, but you've never seen a joystick like this before. This is courtesy of my mate Mike Hansen. Now, apart from it just looking lovely, it's not just a regular stick. This is actually a Raspberry Pi stick. It's got a Raspberry Pi inside, and to use it, all I need to do is connect it up, plug in the HDMI cable and the power, and away you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, I'm actually going to make a specific video like you see this thing in action. This is absolutely fantastic. So I was playing that for a bit, playing my Spectrum next for a bit, and I think that's kind of been it. Not been doing very much else. So it is going to be a fairly short Friday Waffle, guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump straight into the questions now. Excuse me, last week I did do, I'm going to have a little drink of this refreshing Stratford Ribbon still water. Yeah, last week I did a live waffle with Lacosa, excuse me, which is always great fun. It is a lot more fun doing these things with somebody else because you've then got the direct interaction as well, which obviously you don't get quite the same, and it's just me kind of talking. So I'm looking at the comments from last week, and I think the only one from last week is from Down the Rabbit Hole, Kevin. For the Friday Waffle, hi Alan, in the old days I used to toss boxes and containers for my gaming items all the time, but now that the complete in box is such an important consideration for collectors, I always keep everything. So I was curious if you're the same, and when did you start keeping all packaging for games and consoles? I am 100% the same as yourself, Kevin. I never ever bothered about boxes. You know, as soon as I bought anything, I would just throw it out. But what I now do, I will, you know, for anything that I buy, you know, this is something like £1 or whatever, but if I buy anything where it's an electric kettle, a toaster, a computer, I always I put the box up in the loft, because obviously if you've got to return it, it's always a lot easier if you've got the proper box. But I'm the same when it comes to retro systems. If it comes in an original box, I will always keep it, because as you say, I don't keep it for my benefit. I keep it for, well, I suppose technically it is my benefit. I keep it in case I'm ever going to sell it, because daft as it may seem, people will pay considerably more for a machine if it's got a box. So I don't throw any boxes, any original boxes that I've got, I do keep. I've only maybe started doing that in the last 10 years since I've started seriously kind of getting a decent number of machines. I always just put them. I mean, up in my loft, I've just got boxes for everything. You know, I don't have space to put boxes on display. I know a lot of people who've got big kind of games room, they like to kind of display the boxes, which is nice. But I don't have the space, so I just put them in the loft. But I always hang on to them. Talking of eBay and going back to the Spectrum Next, you've probably seen that there's people selling their Spectrum Nexts on eBay for silly money. Now, it's not the person that's selling it that's coming up with silly prices. It's how much people want something. And I mean, there was one that went for, I think, 550 quid. I believe they're all going for about £400-500. Now, I would be wrong if I wasn't tempted to sell my Spectrum Next, because at the end of the day, it is just another machine. It's a wonderful machine, but it's just another machine like any other machine that I've got. And, you know, part of me is thinking, yeah, I could use the money. I could sell it and just, you know, I don't know, buy another one when it comes back out again. I'm not going to do that because, well, the simple reason is I want to keep my Spectrum Next. But part of me does think, you know, if somebody's prepared to pay you £500 for something, then more the fool them. But I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. But you know, I can completely understand why people do sell things like that, because you know it's not their greed that's pushing the prices up. It's supply and demand. You know, the Spectrum Next has created a huge amount of publicity, and there's a lot of people want to have one. And of course, you know, they're very, very limited, and people are going to pay daft prices. What I would say to you is, as much as it's a wonderful machine, and it really, really is, don't pay £500 for one. You know, have a bit of common sense, unless, of course, you know, you're that desperate to get one. Because if you're wanting one now, then you're going to have to buy one on eBay. Simple as that. Unless you get somebody selling it for a normal price. But you know, why would anybody sell something for 170 quid when they can get £500 for it? You know, that just wouldn't make any sense at all. But like I say, as much as it's a wonderful, wonderful machine, save your money, get your name down on the second Kickstarter. They are going to be doing a second Kickstarter. You know, do that. I mean, for me, the reason I've got it, or what's going to be the main use for my Spectrum Next, is probably going to be playing Spectrum games, basic Spectrum games. Don't mean written in basic, but you know, Spectrum original games. That's probably what I'm going to use it for, like 99% of the time. I'm hoping there is going to be a big following, and there's going to be a lot of games coming out for the Spectrum Next. Obviously, you know, you can buy them, whatever. But like I says, you know, the big thing for me is having a future-proof way of being able to play Spectrum games on a modern TV. The fact that I can plug that into an HDMI TV, or I can plug it into a CRT, is lovely. You know, I'm getting to play the Spectrum. I'm getting to play Spectrum games on original hardware now. Some people might say, well, it's not an original hardware. It's, you know, it's a brand new machine, but it's still the next generation of Spectrum. So, you know, as I said, that's why I've bought it, because, you know, all my other systems that I've got that take capacitors and all that kind of stuff, they've all got a finite life. They're all going to eventually stop working. I mean, like I said, my CD32 has already stopped working. I've got no idea how to fix it. And that's going to keep happening. You know, over the years, more and more machines are going to stop working. And I might actually get to a point where I just decide, right, enough's enough. You know, hang on to my C64, hang on to my Amiga, hang on to my Spectrum, hang on to that thing. That there, my Vectrex, and using the Raspberry Pi, I can play any other game. I can play the Mega Drive, I can play the SNES, you know, it might get to a point where I end up doing that. You know, maybe if I need the money at some point, that might happen. But like I says, the Spectrum Next for me is it's kind of safeguarding me being able to use and play Spectrum games on proper hardware for years to come. It's a new machine, and like I say, the fact that you can just plug it in an HDMI enabled system, and away you go. But don't go and spend £500 in it. You know, they're not worth that amount of money. I'm saying nothing's worth that amount of money. Something is worth 175 quid is worth that. If somebody was offering it to you for maybe 200 quid, then fair enough. But, you know, 3 times the price? Nah. In fact, it's more than 3 times the price, actually. Nah. As much as I love the Spectrum Next, it's not worth that. Everything's got a value. So use a bit of common sense, guys, and just get your name down on the second Kickstarter run. That's the best thing to do. So that was part 1 of Kevin's questions. Secondly, do you have any co-workers in their 30s, and do they remember the consoles of their youth? PS2 and original Xbox with as much nostalgia as older gamers remember our first consoles. Honest answer, Kevin, I haven't a clue, because I work in a tiny, tiny little company. I've got 6 co-workers. 2 of them are, they're quite a bit younger. They're in their 30s, but I've never actually had that conversation with them, so I don't know. I mean, a few of my old co-workers who are still my mates to this day, I think their first console was the PlayStation 2, which I just find quite bizarre. You know, that would be their stepping stone to gaming, the PlayStation 2, whereas I think of the PlayStation 2 as quite a modern console. But unfortunately, Kevin, I don't have any current co-workers that would remember these. You know, I don't work with them that much. I could actually have that conversation with them. But yeah, it's always insane when you think of somebody, their first console was the PlayStation. You know, that's just absolutely insane. And Kevin's final question is, is there a game you play when you're not feeling well? Something comforting that helps you get on the mend? I can't think of any one particular game. I mean, I'll be honest, at the moment, I've kind of had a bit of a sort of, I don't know, not burnout as such with gaming, but there is nothing at the moment that I'm playing. There's no game that I'm getting right into. I think the thing for me is it's all about you know, the arcade games. It's all about quick games that I can play, you know, play for 10 minutes. So I still will, you know, put the MAME cab on. I'd much rather, you know, play a game of Galaxian or Dodonpachi or Berserk, whatever, than load up a modern game. So no, sometimes if I'm feeling, I don't know, maybe pissed off, whatever, I'll just fire the MAME cab up and give that a go. There's no current game that I'm playing just now. I really need to try and get back into it. I mean, I've got so many games for the PlayStation. I've bought quite a few VR games, and I've simply never loaded them, you know. But that seems to be a common thing with older gamers. We've kind of got the disposable income, but we just, I don't know why, we don't seem to have the time. You'd think that as you get older, that you'd have more time to play games and that, and yeah, it seems to be the complete opposite. So anyway, Kevin, listen, thank you very, very much for your questions. Now, I'm looking at last week's Friday Waffle, the one that I did with... no, this wasn't Lacosa. This was a week before, actually. The one I've just done was the Lacosa one. So let's see. Not a question there. Closed channel. My question for next time is, what makes a good channel for you? For me, it's all about the personal memories. I like to hear all the little stories that go with games, like how people got their VCS or C64, or memories about when they first saw played in the shop at home, iconic games like Beachhead or Way of the Exploding Fist. I'm exactly the same. I really am. I mean, there's from a retro gaming perspective, I do prefer the type of videos where it's people talking, where it's people facing the camera, a bit like what I'm doing at the moment, because then you get a flavour for the person the person who's actually making the video. I'm not a fan of somebody just playing a game for the sake of it. Sometimes if I want to see, if somebody mentions a game and I'll think, oh, I don't know what that is, I'll watch a video for a couple of minutes to see what the game is. But I would never sit and watch a channel where somebody's playing a game and they're not talking or anything, because where's the fun in that? For me, it's all about the personality, just exactly what you're saying. I generally watch channels for the person rather than the content. Although, obviously the content has got to be something that you're interested in. I mean, I watch all manner of stuff. Some bizarre channels. I mean, I subscribe to Eddie Hall, who was he won the world's strongest man about 3 years ago. First man to lift half a ton. He managed to do that deadlift half a ton. I watch his channel. Obviously, I watch quite a few of my friends' YouTube channels, and yeah, the sort of the gaming channels that I do watch, it's all about the person, And conversely, if I'm watching a channel and the person isn't likable or whatever, or annoys me, I wouldn't watch the channel. It's got to be, the person has got to come across as likable. I'm going to talk about Beachhead and Way of the Exploding Fist. I always remember. Now, did Beachhead get reviewed? No, it didn't. You know what it was? Beachhead came out before Zap 64 was a thing, and it was a little computer shop. I've mentioned this a million times. It was a computer shop that was near to me. Now, this was before John Menzies, the high street sold video games, and it was a little computer shop that was owned by an Italian, and he was primarily an Atari stockist. Excuse me. He was primarily an Atari stockist, and I got to know about this computer shop. And this was before I'd really seen a computer. So anytime me and my mates used to go in there on a Saturday morning, and we'd just hang about the computer shop. We wouldn't hang about all day. We weren't that kind of sad, but we would go in and just actually seen these things, seen these boxes, these keyboards, these machines running games. I always remember seeing Summer Games, Bruce Lee, Boulder Dash, just amazing. It was just amazing, and I was like, wow, what is this thing? It was just incredible, absolutely incredible. And at that point, that's when I decided I would definitely want to get a computer. But at that point, I had no income to speak of, and it wasn't until I got a part-time job that I bought my C64 in credit or hire purchase. They'd still call it HP. It was a hire purchase. I think it was £12 a month or something. I mean, it took me about 2 years to pay this damn thing off. I'm sure when I got a full-time job, I ended up kind of paying it off not in one go, but I ended up kind of paying it off a bit quicker. But the only place that I could get games for the C64 was to go up to this computer shop. So every Saturday, whatever, I'd go up there and I would just, what's the latest games that you've got in? And he started stocking C64 games. Never stocked, he did stock the Spectrum, but it was all just like Make-A Chip and Horoscope Ski, and he never really got any kind of modern Spectrum games, but he did start getting in some kind of more modern C64 games. And I think these were actually before I was getting games, or he was getting games from America. Now, Atari really weren't a big player in the UK, so I believe this guy used to import all the machines and all the games from the US, and I think that's where they started getting all these C64 games. So all your stuff like Bruce Lee, it wasn't like US Gold that I bought. It was like was it Datasoft, and then you had Synapse Software that did Fort Apocalypse, and then one of the first games that I do remember that he stocked, which was US Gold, was Beachhead. And I remember picking the box up, looking at the back cover, and thinking, oh, that looks really nice. And I'm sure in the box it said that it had won awards or something for the sound. So I got Ray to load the game up for me. And and the sound effects just absolutely blew me away. It's the sound where the planes are flying overhead. Just absolutely extraordinary. It really, really is. And even now, I think it's still a wonderful sound effect. So I bought Beachhead on the basis of I got to see the game running, and I just thought, wow, this is incredible. Then it was the same with, no, it wasn't the same with Way of the Exploding Fist. I first got to know about Way of the Exploding Fist, like most people, when I saw the Zap 64 review. I think, did it get a gold medal, or it certainly got a crack? It certainly got a sizzler, and it just looked, again, it looked just incredible. And of course, they raved about it. And so I went up to the computer shop, and I think it was during the summer holidays. I think I must have still been at school at that point. And I went into the computer shop and I asked Ray, did you have Way of the Exploding Fist? And at that point, he didn't actually have it in. He was supposed to be getting it, I think, on the Wednesday. And I have probably never been so excited about getting a video game that I was Way of the Exploding Fist, waiting for this game to arrive. Normally you'd go into a shop and the game would just be there, but because this one, he didn't have it, it wasn't released at that point. And yeah, like I says, I remember I gave my mate Grant the money, and he was going to go, because when he used to come to my house, he would kind of basically pass by where this computer shop was. So I got him to go in on the Wednesday morning and buy this game. And I've never been, the anticipation for this game was just through the roof. It really was. And of course, I loaded it up, and then you got the scream, which gave you the fright of your life. So awesome. Absolutely awesome. So yeah, both these games were quite iconic. I do specifically remember buying both of them because they were just amazing. They really, really were. My mate Tony Walker, how you doing, Tony? Hey mate, a question for your waffle. Since the Spectrum Next came out and is a big success, what other machine would you like to see be done properly like this? I would love it if someone could do this to the beloved Amiga. I've been asked that question before, and yeah, I mean, I think it would be nice if they brought out a full size, Commodore Amiga that plugged in HDMI, and it just, it was running the proper hardware. Then we could basically get rid of all our original Amigas, because, we wouldn't have to worry about the capacitors failing or whatever, or the power packs blowing up. So yeah, and an Amiga one would be nice. It would also be really nice if they brought out a C64 one. Now, I would probably say that this 64, the one that I bought fairly recently, that's about as kind of close as you're going to get to it. The thing with this 64 is it's not an update as such. I mean, it doesn't do anything really other than load from an SD card. It doesn't do anything that the original C64 couldn't do. Whereas the Spectrum Next, it's got more colours. I think it's got better sound. It's obviously got the ability to load from SD card. It's got higher resolution. So the Spectrum Next is kind of a supercharged Spectrum, whereas the 64 is just like a modern take on the C64. There is a machine called, is it the C65, which I think Chris is asking a question down below about it, but it's a modern take on the Commodore 64. I've not really looked too much into it at all, but yeah, I think a modern, an updated C64 would be really nice, as would the Commodore Amiga. Can't think of any other machine. Maybe an Atari, maybe an 8-bit Atari, that would be nice as well, or a machine, an Atari that is compatible with 8-bit software plus Atari ST. That would be really, really nice, I think. Yeah. So anyway, Tony, thanks for your question. Ye oldie gamer Steve, superb stuff again. My next pointless question is this: what game did you think looked great fun but was just too hard for you to enjoy it? Mine's is Ghosts and Goblins, a great game that is for me impossible to play as I die in seconds. I think I would have to go along with you, Steve. Ghosts and Goblins, probably even more so Ghouls and Ghosts. I mean, Ghouls and Ghosts is a fantastic looking game. It's one of the prettiest arcade games you're ever really going to see, but it's just as hard as bollocks. You know, you're never going to get a harder game. Ghosts and Goblins is really difficult. At least I can kind of, I can get to. Have I ever completed the third? I think I have. I think I've managed to complete the first 2 levels in the arcade version. Not for a long time, but Ghouls and Ghosts is just mentally difficult, and it's a shame that why they make a game. Well, there again, I understand it. You need to remember these arcade games were designed to make money. That's exactly what they were there. They weren't there to be fun. Well, they were there to be fun, but they were designed for people to keep putting money in. And if they looked amazing like Ghosts and Goblins did, then people are going to continue to feed them. So yeah, definitely with you, Steve. Ghosts and Goblins, Ghouls and Ghosts, you know, just beautiful looking games, but just absolutely rock solid, difficult. Batman, nice wafflage, sir. Now you have had a Spectrum next for the next wave of releases are for internet backers exclusively. Do you feel that they are missing a trick by not making it available for general sale like the 64, or do you feel that the way they are releasing it is a good business model? I don't really do the online backing thing, nothing against it, but it's not for me. I think it looks good, but I have been more likely to just pick it up from a store or Amazon. I'm not, you know what, Bat, I can't really say I'm really all that sure as to, you know, why they, well, I was going to say, why don't they make it available for the general public? I think for that to happen, it would need to be scaled up massively because, you know, in this, no pun intended, in the scale of things, there are very, very few Spectrum Nexes that have actually been made. I don't know how many there were. Was it 2,000, 3,000, something like that? So, you know, they couldn't really, they've not got the ability to make them, to make that many. You know, whereas obviously the Kickstarter, it's going to be a limited supply again. I'm sure if a company came along and said, look, we can pick up, if you give us the plans, the diagnostics, the, you know, everything that's going to, all the plans that goes into making one of these things, and we can make them for you, then I would imagine that would probably happen. But it's obviously a completely different way of funding. I mean, the 64 has obviously been done completely differently from the Spectrum Next. Quite how, I'm really not sure. I'm not qualified to really comment on that at all. I don't know the ins and outs of Kickstarters. Well, I understand how a Kickstarter works, but there's obviously a reason why the Spectrum Next isn't just going to be, you know, an item you can go into Amazon, pick off the shelf. It would need to be, they would really need to upscale the production massively. So I'm kind of guessing that that's probably the reason it's not done that. Would it be something that they would think about doing? I can't answer that. Best thing to do is go into the Spectrum Next Facebook page. I'm sure that's something that the guys have considered doing. You know, especially I suppose what they have to do first is to kind of gauge the interest, and I think, you know, they could safely say the interest has been brilliant. But there's got to be a market. What they can't do is, I would imagine, is put it to a massive, you know, really start pumping these machines out, and then they find out that the market is not there for it. You know, that would be a commercial disaster. I'm sure if they could, but I'm sure they probably would. Thanks to Colin for this thing. It's a screaming goat. Yeah, Colin Jones, he had a video of this thing, and I saw it and I bought it for my daughter. Apparently, a screaming goat is actually a thing on YouTube. Go figure. So anyway, Bat, thank you very much for your question. Milfy Swinbuckle, hello once again, Main Meister. Question for the next waffle. As you're someone who prefers the simpler pick up and play games, I'm in this category as well. I was wondering what games have bucked this trend for you, or in other words, what are the most complicated games that drew you in? Those behemoth games with shitloads of instructions and complexity, games that you would normally avoid like the plague, but for some reason fell in love with. Not many. I mean, there's games that take too, that not so much they take too long to play, but games that are overly complicated, I would normally try and avoid, like the coronavirus. I mean, there's plenty next gen games that I enjoy. Evil Dead 2, The Last of Us, things like that. But you're talking about games that are complicated. I suppose the one type of game which I've not played for years, and I got into it on the PC and I really enjoyed it, and I started playing more and more. And it was Warcraft. It wasn't World of Warcraft. It was simply called Warcraft. It was the humans versus the orcs. And then, in fact, the game that started it for me was Dune 2 on the Amiga, whereby you've got to try and farm all this stuff and you fight enemies, etc. So Dune 2 on the Amiga was the one that really kick-started that kind of strategy game for me. Then when I got Warcraft, then I played Warcraft 2, then I played Red Alert, then was it Command and Conquer, I think it was called. I played all these, loved them. So for me, they're mega complicated games. Excuse me. Excuse me, I've got a bit of heartburn there. Let me just extinguish the pain. Yeah, I think these are probably the most complicated games that I played, because there's really nothing now that I would give the time of day to. I've not got the time to sit and play complicated games. And like I said, it's all pick up and play games. But yeah, I think the most complicated ones I've played would have been sort of Command and Conquer games. I was never into like Dungeon Master or RPGs or games that have too many moves, or games like flight simulators. I'd always love to have been into flight simulators, but I just used to get so confused with the controls and just completely give up. So anyway, listen, but thank you. Sorry, that was Milfy. I beg your pardon. Thank you very, very much for your question. And the last one, it's my mate Chris Panther UK, and you're talking about the Mega 65. If the Next has done one thing, it's made me want the Mega 65. For next time, having had a new the 64 and a Next, what do you think of the concept of the Mega 65 as it is a reality, and they have made the funding target for the tooling to injection mold for the cases? Imagine playing Elite and Driller on the C64 with a 40 megahertz processor. Yeah, I mean, I've already spoken to you, Chris. I will definitely buy the Mega 65. Don't know how much it's going to cost, but for the simple reason to basically foolproof me being able to play C64 games, and having the ability to run them faster is going to be really nice. That will be really, really nice. From what I can see, the Mega 65 is kind of going to be what the Spectrum Next is to Spectrum, or it's going to be for the C64 what the Spectrum Next for the what the Spectrum Next was for the Spectrum. And that's going to be nice. Like I say, it's just the ability to actually be able to play C64 games on an HDMI screen, or hopefully plug it into a CRT screen as well. That'll be lovely. Like I say, I might get to a point where I just think like enough's enough. I'm going to sell my original hardware, and I would just use these new machines. But looking forward to kind of following that, seeing what kind of progress it is, see what kind of price it's going to be. I mean, I wouldn't go paying too much money. I wouldn't go paying £500 for it. I don't know what kind of price range that thing's going to come into. But listen, guys, it's 40 minutes gone. Apologies about a bit of a naff Friday Waffle. Like I says, I've not been feeling it that much recently, but I did want to try and get a Friday Waffle out of some kind. So I hope you enjoyed watching it. I will be getting some videos out next week. I promise you, I'll try and get at least a couple done anyway. I've still got a couple that are kind of halfway through, but again, it's just finding the time and the motivation to actually get them finished. But I will get some videos put out. So anyway, guys, lastly, I just want to thank you all for your continued support. You know, the questions, commenting on my videos. I do read every comment. I know I don't reply to them, which I'm not happy with, but I do appreciate every single comment, you know, and support that you guys give me. So as always, guys, take it easy and thanks very much for watching.